and we bought this and can't wait to be there, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that.
The rest of the family had been to the region before, and they were looking forward to showing Andrea the sights.
We've been there about 8 days, and everything was going fine.
The highlight of the family's trip was to be an elephant show.
You have like elephants wandering around outside, mainly female ones and baby ones. And like you can go up and feed them bananas, and me and Andrea bought a bunch of bananas, fed them, and then you buy tickets for the shows.
Both had a ride on the back of the elephants a few hours before. Went for a trip round the park, and then we went into the show.
They bring elephants through in like traditional dress costumes with people on top, and you go round to what they call the corral, where it's all outside and you've got 3 sides of people sitting down watching the elephants do tricks.
They took their seats at the front.
Previously me and my dad had sat on the front row anyway, so we thought everything was absolutely fine at the time. It was just watching the show.
The handlers, known as mahouts, began their traditional routine.
The show had been going about 5-10 minutes, and suddenly all the world fell apart.
The mahouts come down, stood on male elephants' tusks either side of the trunk.
As they approach you, one goes to the right and one goes to the left.
And on this occasion, the mahout seemed to go to jump back on its head and then fall or jump off. We don't, to this day, really know. But whatever happened, he didn't seem to be in control of the elephant at the time.
Suddenly, the bull elephant charged.
The speed of it was all over in 5 to 10 seconds.
It just happened so quickly. Just came straight at me and Andrea. I was just thinking, I'm going to die.
I got hit, and my legs were tucked underneath them.
Its tusk went into me, and its trunk sent our Andrea flying back. And I just thought, Andrea's got out the way.
You couldn't understand what had happened at first. There's just total chaos. People were screaming. We seemed to be there an eternity.
I remember the guy wafting his t-shirt over my face to try and keep me awake because I was wanting just to pass out.
Helen had been injured, but Andrea was in a much worse condition.
I could hear Andrea saying, "Somebody get it off me." And when I managed to twist myself round, I could see the elephant's head was touching the floor, but its tusks were in Andrea's back. So I leaned over her and I don't know why, I pushed on its trunk, and it suddenly let go and backed off. When I looked down at her side, a t-shirt had rolled up. You could see her inners coming out. And then when I looked down, I could see the blood coming from underneath her back. I looked down at her leg, and all the skin had been took off her right shin, so it was obviously looked like it was broke. And she said, "I can't feel my legs, and my legs are going numb." I said, "Oh, I think you broke your leg, don't worry about it." I couldn't see Helen at first, and then when I looked down, I could see her she's about 15 foot away. She was flat on her back, with just her knees bent up in the air. I suddenly thought, my leg's sore, and when I looked down, my leg was ripped open.
They knew that Andrea was seriously injured. There was no time to wait for an ambulance, so they took a taxi to the nearest hospital.
They were pretty good at getting us there. They went through every red light they possibly could. They just had the horn on constantly, and our Andrea was just lying completely out on the back seat. And I remember I had my knees jammed up against the dashboard because all my injuries were around my stomach.
During the frantic drive to the hospital, the sisters exchanged words of comfort.
Our Andrea was talking to me. She was going, "I've got a broken leg, and I think there's some damage to my back." She was coming out with these nursing explanations, with her training to be a nurse, and she thought she was going to be fine.
Jeff and the girls were rushed straight through to emergency. During his treatment, Jeff passed out.
The next thing I knew, it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I was in a ward on my own. When I made inquiries, they said Helen was badly injured because it ripped through her bladder and intestines, and she lost an ovary. So there may be a doubt about having children.
but there was still no news of his other daughter.
Andrew was being looked at. That was all I knew. But then, at 7 o'clock the following morning, British Embassy phoned me up and told me she'd passed away. She died about 8:30, 9 o'clock the previous night.
Helen was the last to know. Still in intensive care, the doctors felt the news could hinder her recovery. But she demanded to know the truth.
And he was like, you know, how are you feeling today? And I was like, where's Andrea? I want to see Andrea. I've seen my dad twice now. Why haven't I seen her? I want to go and see her. I don't care what state she's in. I want to go and see her. And he just had this blank look on his face. And I went, just tell me what's going on. I want to know now. And he told me that she'd actually died on the operating theatre table about 8 o'clock in the evening on the Monday. And I still didn't take it in at all. I remember my dad coming down and seeing me, and he was in tears, and I just said, Dad, I don't even understand what's gone wrong. You know, why has this happened? She was, you know, training to be a nurse. She was such a lively, friendly person. She had so many friends. And to lose that, it's like nothing you can describe, really.
As shocking as Helen and Jeff Taylor's story is, it's not unique. Since 1990, captive elephants have been responsible for 65 deaths and 130 injuries. The relationship between the mahouts and their charges is usually based on mutual respect. But some animals are trained with cruelty, and sometimes these animals react in a dangerous manner.
The footage that we have of elephants being beaten and chained and restrained in Thailand is very alarming.
During the mating season, male elephants go into must, a time when hormones make them highly volatile.
Which means it was in season, and it shouldn't have even been used in the show at the time, because they could become very aggressive.
Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're feeling friendly, sometimes they're curious, and sometimes in this particular case the elephant became outraged, and what we see in the video is the result.
After the attack, the elephant was chained up for 3 months before returning to perform in the same show.
We have no way of knowing if this elephant is ever going to kill again, or if there's going to be another tragedy involving this animal.
Both me and Helen said at the time, we don't want the elephant put down, because it is a wild animal. It's not the elephant's fault itself. It's just not been controlled.
The Taylors took their case to the Thai courts and are still awaiting the verdict.
My life will never be the same. To lose my mum 5 years ago, and then to lose my sister nearly 3 years ago now. You never expect to lose one person in your family. To lose two is just, it's beyond belief.
Captive elephants are mostly gentle and benign, but they're also intelligent and powerful creatures that need to be shown respect. Wild animals, even those born in captivity, can never be completely trusted. It may look cute and adorable. This tiger cub is just 3 months old, but this animal will become a top predator. It can only scratch and bite at present, but it'll soon be a powerful and instinctive hunter. Despite controversy, some circuses still use animals, including big cats, in their shows. Nigel Wesson had been working at one such circus for only 10 days when he was temporarily placed in charge of the tigers.
I was asked on to go and look after the big cats for 2 weeks, and like a fool I said yes. I was basically looking after them all day, which is basically feed them, put them out for exercise.
Although he had no experience working with tigers, Nigel was unfazed by his new responsibilities. On the morning of the 25th of February 1998, he went in to feed them.
and I was just having to move them from where I fed them to where they were going to sleep, which just involves pulling some slides out. You should use a hook to open the cages, but it's so much easier just to put your hand in, start the slide off, and then bring the hand out and continue opening the slide. And being left-handed meant that I put this hand in, and the tiger was lying down, and when I put the hand in, the tiger literally just jumped up and got hold of the hand. And it stood there and then thought it was tasting nice, and I started to scream for help. So it ended up with Roger hanging on the end of my arm with both claws in the forearm. So I basically just twisted and pulled, and we separated at the elbow.
Paramedic Chris Hurley was first on the scene.
We see an awful lot of injuries, but this is the first one, and so far the only one I've seen caused by a tiger.
Nigel was flown by helicopter to the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford. At first, still in shock, he felt little discomfort, but he soon began to feel phantom pains from his lost limb.
And when I lost it, for the next half hour, it wasn't really, I would say, that painful. Fingers were itching like mad, but the arm itself wasn't that painful. When the helicopter was landing in the hospital, it then really started to hurt again.
Whilst we transferred him, I was supporting his arm, which was giving him a little bit of pain relief.
Chris remained with him throughout the ordeal.
Nigel was fully conscious throughout. He maintained a great sense of humour and good spirit, despite his injuries. Remarkable chap.
Surgeons tried to save what remained of his arm.
In some circumstances, it may be possible to reattach a limb that has been severed, but the damage caused by the tiger to the arm after it had been severed was too great to have been able to reattach. They asked if the arm was available, and unfortunately